Welcome, ladies and gents. Chris Andre here. You can find me at BetBoxing on Twitter for boxing-related tweets, or you can find me here at this YouTube channel. Subscribe, hit the subscribe button down below to get notifications whenever we upload a video, and you can all engage in the boxing discussion. Let's talk about the big one. Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury 2. Fantastic fight, obviously. We can't wait for it. First, what I want to do is talk a little bit about Tyson Fury and how he should win the fight. In other words, he's a superior heavyweight, he's the more skilled heavyweight, I believe he's the better fighter, and why he should win the fight. But there's a difference between should win and will win. If anything, I actually feel that Deontay Wilder is going to win this fight. So I'm going to explain why, despite the fact that I think Fury's the superior heavyweight, why I think Deontay Wilder is going to win this fight. So firstly, I think there's a general consensus. We all understand what Deontay Wilder's strengths are. He's got a monster right hand, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, in the history of the heavyweight division. Me personally, I've never seen a long right hand more powerful than Deontay Wilder's. It's a horrific knockout punch. He's fast. He's fast. He delivers those shots well. There's no point in having ammunition if that bullet is traveling so slow that you see it coming and you move out the way. He's quick with it. His timing's very good with it. He often throws it after a jab, so it's quite a predictable 1-2, and Tyson Fury was able to read a lot of that in the first fight. We'll discuss all that. We'll come across all that. But the point is, Deontay Wilder is a very, very dangerous man. He's rangy. He's got a very, very underrated jab. A lot of people talk about his chin as being somehow suspect. That's tough to say that it's suspect because, listen, Luis Ortiz caught him. Fighters have hurt him. Even Brazil, before the knockout, seemed to affect him. Dualpa hurt him. Tyson Fury had him hurt. He's been not hurt, massively hurt, but at the end of round one, you saw his legs wobble a bit as he was walking off to the corner. So, you know, he has been hurt. He can be hurt. He can be affected. But he's not got a glass chin. These guys aren't touching him and he's all over the place and then he's getting taken out. You know, a lot of that might be the fact that they're scared to plant their feet and commit because he is such a threat. But still, even when they've had him hurt and then they've tried to jump on him, he doesn't just crumble. He's got heart, he's got a chin, he hangs in there. He showed that heart against Luis Ortiz. So he's also got a lot of stamina. And because he's got that stamina, he's able to deliver these big power shots throughout the course of the fight. So even late in a fight, he's able to detonate something on you that will take you out. So this is a very, very dangerous man, okay? But why should Fury win this fight? Well, the thing is with Fury, he's got a certain set of skills that carry him in good stead for this sort of thing. Firstly, he feints a lot, all right? And he'll do it with double feints with the hands. He'll feint with his feet. He'll sometimes oversell the feint by moving his head forward. And because he varies it, what he does is, let's say someone's double feinting. He'll throw a feint, he'll throw a second feint, and then he comes with a shot. And he does that every single time. You're going to know, and you're not going to fear those first two feints. Instead, what he'll do, sometimes he won't feint, he'll just jab you. Other times he'll feint once and jab you. Other times he'll feint twice and not jab you at all, or lead with the right hand, or just spin away and maintain range. And because of that, you don't know what's coming. So what happens is if you take the risk of not reacting, you can be seriously punished. If you do take the risk of reacting and he's feinting and there's nothing actually coming, it's not a real shot. Because, you know, let's say you're trying to counter him. Let's say you're thinking, okay, when he jabs, I'm going to throw the right hand. And we'll exchange, jab for right hand. And if I land, he's in trouble. If he feints and you throw the right hand and he hasn't actually committed to a shot and you do fall short as a result, he's then going to punish you with his counters. So he's a very difficult man to read and to get to find these patterns when he's in the ring. He's very, very good at keeping you guessing. And he can counter your attempted counter. That makes him a very dangerous guy. The second thing is that he moves laterally when he's punching. When he'll throw a jab, I ain't got much room here, but when he throws the jab, he'll often come off to the side with each jab. So he's exiting that center line where he used to be. Additionally, he doesn't plant his feet to commit to the jab. So he'll often throw the jab with the back of the hand and he'll roll it, pop, pop, and he's just catching you with the knuckles on the top of the eye, in the face. And what he does by doing that is, sorry, I've got my phone next to me and it keeps going off. What he does by doing that is bust you up slowly. He'll bruise up your eyes. He'll keep you off balance as well with the shot. But by doing that, because he's not thudding with the jab, committing like a big thudding jabber will do, like a Golovkin will do. Golovkin wants to be there and push you back with a thudding jab. Who else does it? Vladimir Klitschko had a very thudding jab. It's where he sits on the jab. David Haye. It's not that sort of shotgun jab. So as a result, you're always struggling to make up that range. And Deontay Wilder is usually the taller fighter with the longer reach. So what will happen is he can afford to have this wide stance, usually, because a wide stance affects your mobility. I want you to think of a shot putter in the Olympics. When he's going to throw that metal shot put, that ball, he's twisting everything he's got and throwing it forward. And that's what Deontay Wilder does, and he brings his back foot forward and he can square on. And in the build-up to the first fight, we spoke about how that particular technique, as long as you avoid the first right hand, his second phase of attack isn't as effective because he's now square on, which leaves him vulnerable. When you're square on, you're a bigger target and you're not as mobile to get out the way of shots and step in and out. You're now in that pocket. You can go laterally, but you're still in front of the guy. And that's a potential weakness for Wilder. And because he's got these wide feet, it's also harder to close the range. It's also harder to, if your feet aren't close enough when you're going to try and launch your shot. If you throw the jab, and as you throw the jab, the opponent steps half a step back, and you've thrown the jab to set up that right hand, and he's gone further back, you're now reaching with that right hand, and you're not going to get there. Okay, so Fury's movement is, and the lateral way that he moves, or the in and out way that he moves, causes fighters problems, especially because he's always a taller fighter with a longer reach, because it prevents them from being able to land. Even tall fighters like Wilder have to be able to adjust their feet quickly, and it's very, very difficult for these guys. And this is one of the reasons that sometimes cruiserweights have done better, or smaller heavyweights have done better against Tyson Fury if they're fleet of foot, if they've got fast feet, because they can close that range and they can get inside, and then Fury has to adapt. And that's when he becomes what he calls the Gypsy King, where he starts to lean on a guy and it becomes a gritty, grueling fight. Puts his head on your chest, he leans on you, rips the body to the ribs, but he's no longer the guy that fights on the back foot and doing the shoulder roll and leaning off the ropes to deflect the shot off the shoulder and slide off the head, and he doesn't do things like that. He changes his approach. Wilder's wide stance can prevent that, and it did prevent that. By and large, he was struggling to find the right hand. When he was able to find the right hand, it was often when Fury was too stationary. Maybe he had his back on the ropes, maybe he was in a corner, maybe he just took the center of the ring and he decided, right, I'm going to plant my feet. But when Fury was moving, it makes him a very hard target. Additionally to that, what Fury will do, when he's backing off a shot, he'll have the left arm up and he'll move away from you. If you're throwing a right hand, okay, this is my left hand, I don't know, sometimes this computer turns the image around, I don't know what's going on. But let's say you're going to throw a jab and I'm in this position, a right hook, a haymaker, a David Haye type shot, and I'm in this position here, and that shot comes over. It's very hard to get to my face, particularly if I'm leaning my head this way or if I'm moving away to that way, okay? What it does do is it leaves the ribs exposed. But arm-wise, up here, I'm covered. My chin's behind my shoulder. I can dip my head away. It's hard to find the target from there. And he moves very effectively. And if you go and watch the David Haye Vladimir Klitschko fight, you'll see just how well Vladimir Klitschko did that. I think Dwyer is brilliant. I love his work. But in the past, I've disagreed with Dwyer about Vladimir Klitschko. He felt that Vlad was a bit flat-footed. I don't. I actually think Vlad was very fleet of foot. He's just not as good as not as fast as Fury on his feet. But Vlad had the fantastic ability to maintain range. Yes, when you did get on the inside, he would tie you up. But he made it hard work for you to get on the inside. And even a guy as fast as David Haye was really struggling to be able to launch himself and close that range because of this thing that Vlad has where he raises his arms and backs off. And by raising his arms and backing off, as I explained in the Anthony Joshua fight, if you remember, in the build-up to the fight, I explained that the uppercut for AJ could be a key fight because of the way Klitschko, key punch in the fight, because of the way Klitschko raises his arms, dips his head, and backs off. If AJ could have closed the range, I explained, he would have found an opening through the middle of the guard because there wasn't that massive height dynamic between the two. And so, AJ did indeed land that huge uppercut, which changed the course of the fight. So for every strength, there's a weakness, so to speak. So when Fury does this, it's great, and he comes off. So finding the uppercut is not going to be easy for a guy like Wilder. It's not going to be there for him. But the ribs are, and we'll get to that later. But that's one thing that Fury's very good at. Another thing, Fury, like I said, doesn't commit to the jab. It's not a thudding jab. He's able to increase distance. So I've written some notes here because I'll always forget something otherwise for a fight like this. So the fourth thing to mention for Wilder to produce power, there's something that Ben Davison spoke about, which he spoke about on a BT special analysis show, which was fantastic. Ben Davison is brilliant to listen to. He's so clued up. As far as I'm concerned, he's young, inexperienced, but he's already a world-class trainer, in my opinion. I think he's superb. And it's something that I've also mentioned in the past about Deontay Wilder's hand positioning. I didn't say it in the way that Ben Davison says it. I think Ben Davison was more articulate in the way he explained it. I said essentially that his hand's always low and he's always got it cocked, and that's when he's looking to shoot a shot. Ben Davidson would explain the literal hand position. So he said it's somewhere between his nipple and his hip, and that's when he's most dangerous. I've never really seen it near his hip unless he's really going to go wild with a shot. For me, I think he's most dangerous when he's got his hand near his nipple. And what Fury was able to do in the first fight, very intelligently, was target the right side of his face. Because by doing that and engaging the hand, you're forcing that right hand to come up here. And from here, Wilder is not the same puncher. He's not a George Foreman who would throw a right hand from there and would destroy you. That wasn't what he was about. He needs to have it cocked so he can launch in that shot put type manner. Okay, so Fury's obviously a very intelligent fighter that can effectively engage that hand in an intelligent manner. The other thing to remember is that Tyson Fury is very, very good on the inside. We've already alluded to Cunningham. When Fury, Otto Wallin, when he had that badly cut right eye and he needed to close the range to cover it up, he put his head on Wallin's chest and he started to go to war, started to rip the body. He leans on you, he pushes you back. It's very, very hard for a big fighter to be good on the inside. To be really good on the inside. You know, you're thinking Riddick Bowe, and Riddick Bowe was, 4 inches shorter than Tyson Fury? You know, it's hard because the reason it's hard, if you've got your chest on my chest, so you're right up here, for me to produce power there, it's hard. Where's my swing? Whereas if you're up there, okay, and I've got my head on your chest and you're a lot taller than me, I can literally throw everything into a shot in a natural trajectory and literally fully swing. And I can tuck up when I'm on the inside and make myself a smaller target, whereas your big body's in front of me, so I can target that. So height is an advantage when you can maintain range, height and reach. When you can't maintain range and a guy's on the inside of you, if you're exchanging actual punches and you're swinging, not if he's tying you up, but if you're swinging, height's a disadvantage. Now, Tyson Fury can tie you up and he can lean on you and wear you down, and he covers up really well. And he'll absorb shots, but he'll also lean on you and he'll throw back, and he seems to have his wits about him, even when he's hurt, when he's, you know, he'll have his hands up, he'll lean forward, and he'll try and counter your shots, and he'll make it grueling. And you have to say that Deontay Wilder seems to need to throw that shot. If Deontay Wilder wants to do well in this fight, for me, he has to have worked on a couple of things. Firstly, he has to be prepared for if Fury is to push him back, because Fury's spoken about how he's going to come in heavier, want to push Wilder back. We'll get into that in more detail. If he does that, then Wilder has to be in a position where he's able to deal with that. Because the only way Wilder really fights off the back foot is if he's timing you as you jump in. He's not really the sort of guy who, and that's a one-off shot, like he did to Artur Szpilka. And with Szpilka, he held his head just slightly. He wasn't really holding it, but he just sort of had his left hand on the top of his forehead. It was a measurement stick. Stop that movement, gauge where he is, bang, follow through. We'll discuss that in a second. But the point is, with Wilder, he's not the sort of guy who's going to dance around the ring, jab you, pop you, move around the ring. He's quite flat-footed in that regard because he's the aggressor and he's looking to detonate that one shot. He's willing to give up rounds because he believes so much in that one shot. So if he's forced back, then in theory, he can't throw that shot. So what Wilder's going to have to do, in my opinion, to deal with that, he's going to have to have worked on head control. And it's a very difficult thing to master, but Golovkin was very good at it. Kovalev was very good at it. Vladimir Klitschko was superb at it. In fact, we'll use Vlad as an example. What Vlad would often do, apart from head control, Vlad would want to. In fact, no, it was less head control, more about affecting your vision. And it's something that Wilder can often do as well. But in fact, we'll get to that in a second. Let's talk about the actual head control first. Golovkin would often do this. If you're putting your head in a particular position, he'll put his hand on your head. That split second of having it on your head, which is what Wilder did to Szpilka, stabilizes the opponent. In MMA, in wrestling, if someone's going to shoot at you to take your legs, they're going to want to hook your either one leg or two legs, depends on the tactic or the size of the opponent. There's various things that affect that. But as he shoots down to take your legs, his head wants to come to the side of your hips. So the side of his head, so let's say he's going to shoot and the left side of his face wants to come to the left side of your body, okay? If he shoots to your legs, what you need to do, in theory, is to be able to see that, bring your back legs back so that he can't hook them. You don't want to be upright. And you're obviously going to try and get on top of him. As if you don't, and he gets you, like he's able to hook your legs, you're in trouble. Whereas if you drop your legs back and you're on top of him, you're able in a way to become almost horizontal with him, and there's that opportunity to take you down isn't quite there. But that's easier said than done. Much easier said than done. One of the techniques that you can use to try and stop that happening, as he shoots, when his face is coming towards the side of your hip to get past your hip, so he can put his cheek on your hip. You can drop your left arm in between your hip and his face. So you're essentially having your forearm, say, on the side of his face, and you're pushing out as you take your legs backwards. That pushes his head to the side. When you're able to destabilize the head, you can affect the entire construct and balance of an opponent. If you go and watch Golovkin against Proxar, you're going to see some fantastic head control. Okay, it's a guy will duck in, try and come in. If you're able to control his head as he's trying to come in and you keep him off balance, he can't throw. If my head's over here and I'm trying to throw a right hand over the top, it's very hard for me. I need to be able to shift to that side to throw my shot. Wilder would have had to have worked on that, in my opinion. If Fury's going to come in and look to get on the inside and put his head on Wilder's chest, Wilder has to have that ability to take a little step back, control Fury's head, and where his hand was, bang, follow up with that shot where the hand was. Control the head, throw towards the hand. That's something that Vladimir Klitschko would do as well, but rather than always control the head, sometimes he'd just cover your line of sight. And you'd see that quite a lot. AJ tried to do it to Ruiz in the first fight, and Ruiz actually hooked AJ's lead hand away because he didn't want it. You don't want my hand here when we're fighting, affecting your eyesight, okay? You're going to try and move to get position. Now, from there, as you can't see, bang, the second it moves, that left hand, the right hand's followed. You haven't got time to react. It's the shots you don't see coming that knock you out. Now, there's negatives to having your hand out here because now I'm really exposed everywhere, potentially, unless I'm moving away, which is what Fury would tend to do. But the point I'm making is that if he can affect the eyesight of Fury, if he can, let's say he can open up that cut again, 47 stitches in the last fight. If he can open up that cut, affect his vision, Fury's coming in, head down, he's controlling the head when Fury comes in, he's able to hold him off, maintain that range and throw that right hand. He only needs to do it once or twice, max, and Fury's in serious trouble. Okay, so Wilder's going to have to adapt to that in terms of the ability of head control, and also perhaps feint your right hand to get Fury to react if he's going to then want to come inside. And then if he does come inside when you feinted, take a little step back, look for that short right hand low, throw it towards the chest. We know apart from Fury fights moves in certain patterns because of habit, because it's natural. It's not like he does a lot of things, Fury, that an orthodox boxing teacher would tell him he's doing wrong. The way he throws his left hook. There are certain things that are not technically correct. But there's natural ability with Fury that he's able to do these things and get away with them. And it's the way he fights. Often he'll step back, dip to the right. Step back, dip to the right. That jab will come in, he step back behind the shoulder, dip to the right. He's a moving target. He's very difficult to then get a hold of. One thing he didn't do enough of in the first fight, which Ben Davison alluded to, he would move back, dip to the right, but then he wouldn't come forward or come forward under the jab and smother Wilder. They've alluded to the fact that that might be happening in the second fight. If that happens, Wilder's got to be in a position where he's able to feint Fury, because Fury loves a feint, give him a taste of his own medicine, feint Fury, make Fury try to close the range on you if he's starting to do it, take a step back by doing that and then landing. But I'm not sure Deontay Wilder's got the natural balance for that. I don't just think it's a technical issue of bringing that back foot forward. I just don't think he's got the natural balance. Having said that, that's another thing Wilder would have had to have worked on. You don't always have to launch that right hand to knock out. Be a little bit more patient. Look at someone like Sergey Kovalev who'll shift his foot, weight slightly onto his lead foot and just throw a right hand from up here. Just land it, place it. Be more patient. Target the body. When Fury has that left arm up and he's backing up, he's showing you his ribs. Target those ribs. Slow him down by targeting those ribs. You can't just sit there constantly looking for that one punch knockout, okay? It's not going to work against Fury. But why do I think Deontay Wilder, therefore, is going to have enough in this particular fight to stop Wilder? Well, the reason I think this is because, like I said, he does show you his ribs. Wilder had some success early in the first fight where he was targeting the body. And the problem is when you target the body and you go low, you're leaving the upper part of yourself exposed. And he was being punished for that. He's got to maintain that, though. You're not going to swim without getting wet. Fury is going to land some shots. But because Fury is a guy who likes to keep you off balance and bust you up slowly with that jab, it's not a thudding jab that's going to knock you out necessarily. Wilder might be able to afford to sit on his jab a bit more. Jab with the jabber. You shouldn't hook with a hooker, but you can jab with a jabber, and sometimes you should jab with a jabber. Make him think about something else other than your right hand. Because at the moment, in the first fight, Fury was thinking, if I deal with this right hand, I've dealt with Deontay Wilder. So I need to stop Wilder being able to just focus on that right hand. And if he's able to do... Wilder's got to think, I've got to stop him from just being able to focus on that right hand. With the potential cut eye, the stitches that Fury had after the Wallin fight, Fury's also going to be thinking about that. Wilder's going to want to jab to that eye. He's going to want to use a left hook to that eye. Because Wilder does make certain errors, he opens up his body too much when he throws that left hook and his hand comes away. It leaves openings. So there's areas that you can target of Wilder too, and I'm no doubt Fury's going to do that. So the difference between the first fight, though, is that Fury's going to have that additional concern for himself. And additionally, I think Wilder's going to adjust and target the body a lot more. Start throwing his right hand towards the chest, the solar plexus, not just towards the head. Because Fury would always dip away, sometimes dip low into sort of like a 3 o'clock position. You don't want to be falling into that right hand. So I think Wilder's going to be a little bit more intelligent and more patient in this fight and not just look to throw wildly over the top looking for that one-punch knockout. What else? I've written all these notes here and I've been winging it, so I've lost track of where I am. Oh, right. So Ben Davison. Now, I think leaving Ben Davison's a big mistake for Tyson Fury. I think there have been too many changes. This camp's been a disrupted camp. There have been rumours that the cut has opened in camp and that they needed to redo the stitching. That could be lies. That could be just something the Fury camp's put out there. But there's that concern. Even if that's not the case, 47 stitches, a big cut, that could open up again. Additionally to that, so that's one disruption. He went to the WWE, trained in the WWE for a period, had an appearance there. While he was doing that, Wilder was preparing for the Fury fight. So that's another distraction. He's changed trainer, another distraction. He's moved to the USA in order to train in preparation for this fight. That's not necessarily a distraction, but he's reset himself. He's gone away. He's trained over there. He's upped and moved. Something I'm sure he's done before, but still not with the equivalent team that he used to have. Additionally, you've had his dad, John Fury, who has been demanding that, he's been critical of Ben quite openly, and he thinks that Fury should go out there and knock the guy out. And you have to wonder how many voices are in Tyson Fury's head. Freddie Roach in the last fight also said he felt Fury should have been more aggressive. Okay, whereas realistically speaking, Ben Davison's tactics worked to a T. It was a masterclass. And Ben Davison warned him about certain things. He told him to keep moving in the 12th round. And Fury himself said he saw the lights, the Hollywood lights, the Las Vegas lights, and he thought to himself, you know what? I've got this guy. I've dominated him. I'm going to try and knock him out in the 12th round. Whereas if he didn't sit in the pocket and carried on boxing, he would have won the fight. Even with the judging being so suspect, he still would have won the fight. So you have to ask yourself, are there going to be too many voices now? This idea that Fury's going to come in at 270 pounds and, heavier than before, he's going to look to push Wilder around. That's great if you can get on the inside and push him around consistently. But you better not make one error the whole fight on your entry point. Because if you make one error, like Artur Szpilka did, one error, Szpilka was winning that fight, on your entry point, the fight is over. I don't buy into this thing of, oh yeah, it was the 12th round, you knocked me down, you couldn't keep me down. Tyson Fury was a quarter of a second away from being stopped. Okay, don't believe in this propaganda. A quarter of a second. Okay, Wilder has the power to knock out any man in history. Don't kid yourself, including Fury. So is Fury superior? Yes. If he comes in with these tactics, he's going to become, and he comes in heavier, he's going to be an easier target to hit. That's what Wilder wants. If you're Deontay Wilder, what do you want to face? The Tyson Fury who's going to keep you off balance, keep moving around so you can't get to him, or the Fury who's going to be there for you to land on? Come on now. Now that's a concern for me. So I just think there are too many distractions, concerns about tactics, and listen, if Tyson Fury is able to be perfect for 12 rounds or knock Wilder out, to knock Wilder out, he's going to have to go through some, he's going to have to get on the inside and be brilliant at avoiding the entry point and wear him down. If he's going to do that, it's going to be one of the great heavyweight performances in history. It's going to go down as a punch-perfect performance away from home against the scariest punches that there's ever been. It has to be perfect. With all the disruptions, I'm not sure it can be. Let me know what you guys think. Like I said, a lot of you are going to be surprised at this prediction video because, listen, back in 2011, 2012, I was saying Tyson Fury had all the tools. He'd be the guy to take over from Vladimir Klitschko. I still think he's the best heavyweight in the world. I still think he's better than Deontay Wilder. But styles make fights, and although he's got the style to beat Wilder, any given day and preparation can really affect the fight when you're up against an opponent who punches the way he punches and has the speed to marry it with that. Is the timing all wrong for Fury, or is he going to put on a masterclass? Let me know what you think. How will Fury approach the fight? Is it true that he's going to put on this weight and look to be aggressive? How will Wilder approach the fight? What adjustments do you think Wilder will make? Do you agree with me that he's going to target the body more? Do you think it makes a difference? A lot of people don't think Wilder can make the adjustments. Thanks for watching. I'm going to bring one more video tomorrow discussing something different. What if Tyson Fury comes in and fights southpaw? Richie Woodall, Jamie Moore pointed this out. They said that they felt he should do it before the first fight. We're going to talk about why that would be beneficial and why it would work against him if he was potentially to do that, and why it would be a potential banana skin. So that'll be a more technical video. Thanks for watching, guys. Chat to you soon. God bless.